Our next guest is brought to you by Sweetwater Beer. His book is a collection of outdoor stories wrapped in the human condition. They will make you laugh out loud, and they will make you carry his book with you at all times. Jerry's book, Outdoor Chronicles, True Tales of a Lifetime of Hunting and Fishing, will not make you a better fisherman, caster, or shooter, but it'll make you want to spend more time outdoors. Fishing Florida Radio welcomes author of Outdoor Chronicles, True Tales of a Lifetime of Hunting and Fishing, Jerry Hamza, to the show. Morning, Jerry. Thank you for your time, and good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. How are you?
Yeah.
I'm doing great. I'm an old man who wrote a book and is promoting it now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're on this little tour. How is it going?
It's going great. I have people that are really liking the book. I did an interview with John Cruz in Northwest Radio. He's got a bunch of stations up there. He said it was the best book he read in years, so on the air. So that felt good.
That is awesome. Yeah. It really is a great book. I mean, how long? When did you get introduced into the outdoors? Did your dad take you fishing? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was a combination of going fishing as a young boy with my father and my grandfather. But I somewhere along the way I purchased a bamboo fly rod at a garage sale for $3, and that was all she wrote. You
seriously learned how to fly fish with a bamboo fly rod?
Yeah, well, I started fishing in the day when it wasn't cool to fly fish.
Yeah.
When you were talking about people who fly fish, people would put quote marks in the air going, oh, he fly fishes. Like, you were partially nuts.
Yes.
Which was true. We were.
But learning on a bamboo fly rod, because they're so they're the whippiest of all whippies, that slows down your casting, but that's really a challenge. Did you take lessons or do anything like that?
No, because there was nobody to take lessons from.
Yeah.
We just sort of, but we had different things. Like, I remember as a young man in college, I went to college in the Catskills, and I remember going to bug Lee Wolf all the time about questions about fly fishing. So what better source could there be than Lee Wolf?
Yeah.
I was reading your bio, and one of you guys learned how to fish from John Cage.
That's me.
Okay. Now, see, I had talked to John, maybe 30 years ago, so he's got to be an old man now.
Yes, he is.
Maybe 25
I say that in the nicest way possible. But yes, he's older, yes.
There's nothing wrong with being old.
No.
Older is an Americanism for people who are afraid to get old.
Yeah.
I'm certainly glad. Old is okay.
Old is cool.
Yeah.
Because it means you were smarter than the other people who didn't get old.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for age and experience being better than being devious and young.
Yes.
That's right. But anyway, I talked to John a long time ago because I had a redfish trip in Louisiana. I wanted to catch him on a fly rod, and it was very new then. And so John had this thing. They were called Caves Wobblers.
Yes,
and they worked wonderful.
Wonderful.
So there's a little connection there.
Yeah, John actually. I took lessons from John probably 10 or 15 years ago because I had taken a lesson from somebody else, and I had learned some bad habits, and John really broke me of those habits over 2 or 3 hours of yelling at me and calling me nasty names.
Yeah, he still says that was the closest he came to retiring.
I'd have made him retire.
Yes.
He won't even take you in.
Phone sex, wasn't it?
So, yeah, it was, it was a learning experience, and I still, to this day, when I see John, I just find him. I hold him in the highest regards for anglers.
He's your Yoda.
Because he just is that good. But it's cool. So you got the bamboo fly rod. You started fishing the Catskills with your dad and your grandpa, and the bug hit you in full effect, I guess, huh?
Yeah, I sort of at that point I was off fishing by myself because nobody wanted to go fly fishing.
Yeah.
A lot in my book and in life I talk about a schism in the sport. Norman McLean wrote this wonderful book, A River Runs Through It.
Yep.
And then Robert Redford turned it into a wonderful film.
Yes.
And then every yuppie that didn't have a soul and thought they could find one went into an Orvis store, got completely outfitted, and joined me on the streams, much to my chagrin.
Yeah. And they all have the fly coats and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Thousands of dollars.
I was out there in an old tie-dye shirt and my vest, which, it's so faded by the sun, and, neoprene waders with patches on it. And here these guys were walking out of catalogs. I'm like, I called them Orvis. I can't say this is radio.
Yeah,
so
don't. Careful.
But you can understand.
Yes.
Yep.
So you learn from Dad, and you get the bug. Now, how long does it take you to? When did you decide to write the book Outdoor Chronicles: True Tales of a Lifetime in Hunting and Fishing? When did you start it?
I started the book when I was 50. I'm 52 now.
Yep.
I finished the book in a year, but publishing is a slow business. What had happened was about 5 years ago, I got diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I know this sounds really cliche, but I said if I beat it, I was going to do what I wanted to do. And one of the things I always wanted to do was write.
Yep.
So that's what I did. I sat down, I wrote, and one of the first things I wrote won the Robert Travers Writing Award, which is a prestigious outdoor writing award. And I put the book together, and Skyhorse said, hey, we want to publish it. So that's it. I have this atypical career. My first story won a prestigious award, and the first publisher I sent the book to wanted to publish it. So I don't have any tales of rejection letters or anything. But to be fair, when I was young in the bars, I got rejected enough.
This is Jerry Hamza. He's author of Outdoor Chronicles: True Tales of a Lifetime of Hunting and Fishing. And you can find it on Amazon, and there are lots of places they have it for sale, so you should get out there and get it. Now, you're before you became a writer, you were on the management team to George Carlin, which is even more amazing. Did you ever go fishing or hunting with him?
One time.
One time.
One time. You got to remember, George, grew up in Hell's Kitchen, and he went fishing with me one time and said, you know what, you're crazy. I don't know what you see in all this.
Is that where the 7 words came from?
Not from that particular trip, but more words were invented at that trip. I would tell you a story, but nobody would understand it because you'd be bleeping the whole thing.
Yeah. But only one time.
Would you take them fly fishing?
No. We actually had a friend in common in the Cape Cod area, and we tried a little blue fishing.
Oh, okay.
He just wasn't built that. He was a city boy, and his idea of going outside was going to the baseball stadium.
Yeah.
Dennis, we're talking about George Carlin. Were you, Jerry? I'm sorry. Were you managing him back in 75, 76?
That was just a little before I had gotten there. I was early, like 81, 82.
Okay. I was just curious because one of the best concerts I ever saw was Asleep at the Wheel and George Carlin, and I think for 3 hours he stood up there, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
You probably could have gotten quite a contact high backstage at that show.
Probably in the front of that show. That was back in the day.
I remember my grandfather was a big-time country music promoter, and I remember one time he had a bluegrass festival outside of Toronto, Canada, and I was a young boy at the time, and I remember having to go with my grandfather to bail Asleep at the Wheel out of jail because they tried to cross into Canada with some weed. Now I know why they were asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there one? Did you have a question, Mike? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is there one place that stands out that you just love to go fishing that you still think of to this day that this is you wake up, I want to go. This is where I want to go. Do you have one of those spots?
I have a lot of those spots, but since you're in Florida, I'll tell you that last year I came down to fly fish the canals around Miami.
Oh,
for,
yes.
For peacock bass.
Mm-hmm.
And oh boy, let me tell you, I booked a trip as soon as I left. I booked this year's.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that we've talked about in the past. It's one of those hidden gems to South Florida fishing that literally almost any waterway or any path. Well, I'm not doing what I'm saying. Any little bit of water has peacock bass because they've put them in almost every place.
Yeah. Well, the other cool thing is it's such a crazy variety. Every time you go down there, there's a new species that you had never seen. I mean, this year for us was the Jaguar Guadalupe or whatever they call it. And, it seems like there's always some new exotic species that you run across, and you're like,
but, those peacock bass are so willing to come to a fly, and they're so strong, and the strikes are, it's just I've been to South America fishing for them. I got to tell you that the fishing in Florida, it was in some ways better.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah, I didn't get. The biggest one I caught was 7 pounds, and so I caught bigger in South America. But I had 25, 30 fish days in Florida, and I never had that in South America.
Yeah. You want to know, the warmer the weather is down here, the better the fishing is. And you want to know what makes those fish so amazing is they will strike at anything, especially the fly, and even if they miss it the first time, they're so aggressive that they'll actually come back and go after it if you make another roll cast or whatever right there.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. And what was really cool is that, I was coming through the canal system and waving to the homeless people under the bridges. And as I came around the corner where a bunch of canals intersected, you heard music. And when you looked at it, there was a Hispanic restaurant right there. And so we pulled, I said, let's eat there. It looked amazing. None of the furniture looked like it was any younger than 40 years old. I can tell you that we were probably the first people to land there in a boat in probably 50 years. So they were amazed. A couple gringos started walking up, and I had my New York accent, and at first they just stared there and looked at us. But then we had amazing food.
Yeah. Some good places to eat down there.
Some Café Cubano.
Yeah. You do a lot of steelhead fishing up north?
Oh, God, yes. And one of my stories in the book is called Eastern Steelhead.
Yes.
And, it is one of the premier types of fishing on the planet. You get a 15-pound steelhead on in a small stream, and you really need to hang on. You could water ski.
Yeah, that's really steelhead is a real challenge as is, but man, they're beautiful fish. Beautiful fish. I've gotten some when I went out to British Columbia and out west. In Seattle and that area, but man, that's on the top of my list. Do you get
if you want to go steelheading, come up this way because our fishery is very healthy, much better off than the Pacific Northwest. It's nothing to have a 7-8 fish day here.
Oh, nice, nice.
Very cool.
I like that.
So, what's on your bucket list to catch now that you'd like to? What do you want to catch?
I was thinking about gonorrhea, but
oh, Lord.
I'm teasing, guys. I'm just teasing.
I'm sure.
Les has that already, so don't worry about it.
That was simply a joke.
Yeah.
I would like to do billfish on a fly.
Ooh.
Now, I've caught them with hardware tackle, but I've read some of the stuff where it's just like a heart attack waiting to happen on a fly rod.
It's the teasing,
cool.
The teasing of the fish beforehand. It's a challenge.
Yeah, my buddy is a guide out of Casa Vieja there, Jason, and they do really well with sales on fly. Yeah. He's been trying to get me out there, but
there's a guy here in Orlando, Jeff McFadden, who was kind of pioneered some of that sailfish and marlin on fly. If you ever want to get in touch and talk to Jeff, just let Steve know, and I'll put y'all two together.
Yeah, I will, because that is definitely something I want to do. I want to write a story about it. It's one of those really cool things that you can do with a fly.
Yeah. So you're strictly these days just strictly fly fishing. You don't ever use conventional?
No, that's not true. I just went out 3 days ago onto one of the Finger Lakes with a jig and a bucket of minnows and caught 100 perch to take home and fillet.
Oh, yellow perch! I remember those back in the day.
Yellow bellies.
That's what killed you from liking fish today.
That's my dad's cooking is what did it really. My dad's a terrible cook.
But up here, the yellow perch are delicious.
I remember him being very good in Michigan too, but I said, my dad overcooked them or something. So
you got to keep Dad away from the frying pan.
Yeah, yes.
Keep him out of the kitchen,
among other things.
Can I ask, what does he have a favorite story in the book? Or are they all his children?
They sort of are all my children, but I have a couple. The one story is called "Catch the Blue Train," and it's about red fishing in Louisiana. And it's a really cool story. It's like a mixture of a love story and it brings in a lot of the culture that used to be like from the Florida Panhandle over into New Orleans. Part of the book I talk about that there was a time when you would be able to drive that Route 10 and it would have oyster bars all along the way, and everybody had their own specialty hot sauce and their own specialty beer, and if you did it right, you could really enjoy yourself by the time you got to where you were going.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. Again, Jerry Hamza, you can see the book is Outdoor Chronicles: True Tales of a Lifetime of Hunting and Fishing. Jerry, we're up on a break here. We appreciate the time. Anytime you're in Orlando or anytime we can help you promote the book, maybe we can do another interview in a couple months and we can talk more fishing. We'd love to have you back on with us.
Okay, all right, dude. And I'll make sure you guys get a copy of the book so you guys can read it. And also, I'm looking for a place in Orlando to spend my winters. So,
well,
I could be haunting you.
Yeah, by all means, if you find place in Orlando, you ought to just come in and spend a whole show with us. Or if you need to go fishing, we'll get you with less. So
don't punish the man.
Yeah. So we appreciate the time. Again, Jerry Hamza.
Okay,
look for it
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Jerry.
You can find Outdoor Chronicles: True Tales of a Lifetime of Hunting and Fishing on Amazon.com and other places. When we get back from the break, we'll talk to more fishing. This is Fishing Florida Radio on the Fishing Florida Radio Network. Fishing Florida Radio Network. Fishing Florida Radio Network. Fishing Florida Radio Network. Fishing Florida Radio